Good Saturday afternoon to you. Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. Looking at a ridge of higher pressure, it's still in control of our weather across Vermont. This little weather system here has been producing some flooding issues and not moving very fast. It's not going to be a problem for us. It looks like it's moving off to the south and east. And that ridge of higher pressure is really the main influence on our weather. It kind of extends from the north and also across this region here. And we're going to see two really nice days the rest of today, Saturday, as well as all day Sunday. It looks like on Monday, unfortunately, the weather system that's located over in the upper Midwest, Great Plains region, this is going to be encroaching on us. As it weakens, it does look like we're going to see a little bit of shower activity, unfortunately, for Memorial Day, especially in the morning hours, and kind of scatters out in the afternoon. Southern and eastern parts of Vermont may not even see any precipitation, so it's kind of flimsy as the whole weather system will be weakening. And while it crosses New York, there could be a couple thunderstorms in the early morning hours, but they should be dying out, and it looks like it reaches us during roughly about daybreak or so on Monday, Memorial Day. Beyond that, another nice day setting up, but looks like kind of an in-between kind of weather systems kind of day with a weak ridging of higher pressure back from the western Atlantic. This is going to bring looks like a dry project day on Tuesday. So we're good to go rest of today, Saturday, as well as Sunday, and then Tuesday. Beyond that, we warm up pretty decently. We're looking at some heat indices. Heat indexes in the vicinity of 85 to about 90 degrees will be across especially our valleys. And those temperatures, the warmest so far for 2020. And we're going to see that basically on Tuesday and Wednesday with the warmest 2 days, and then incrementally going down before a sharper cold front works in at some point toward the first day of June. Any seeding conditions along the Green Mountains and the higher elevations, we're still seeing a little bit of that color of red with the spruce trees, and we're not quite into leaf out in the highest of elevations, but most of Vermont is seeing full leaf out now in our valleys. And this is probably going to be seen last, of course, across some parts of the Northeast Kingdom, but that is definitely in progress, and it is changing. And for practical purposes, we have full tree canopies now with lowers any kind of thresholds for winds, no gradient winds to worry about. And right now, thunderstorms look like they'll behave and be benign once we get into Wednesday, and we'll talk more about that here. Okay, we're going to start with 2 o'clock this Saturday afternoon, and we have this area of higher pressure in control, and this is our main influence. That area of higher pressure kind of slides by with that colder air mass. You can see the blues here and the 0-degree isotherm at 850 hectopascal. So it shows you just how cold it is up and around Labrador and Newfoundland. They've actually seen some snow up in that general area. No worries, of course, for us. We're on the other side of that, and that's important. That area of low pressure tracks off to the south and east of us. This is valid early Sunday morning, and then going through the day. We're into Sunday evening now, and here comes that weather system I told you with a little bit of precipitation. So it continues and encroaches in on Vermont, but it kind of falls apart and weakens. You can see that we're talking generally light amounts of precip, with those greens just a little bit more over 1/10 of an inch, so not a big deal. And then that precipitation kind of wipes out. We kind of dry up just a little bit. We have this extension of the sort of it's almost a Bermuda high, but not quite. It's well to the north, and it extends with that ridge all the way into the Ohio River Valley. But it's a heat pump, and it will be circulating in a lot more warmer and more humid air coming in at us. This is valid Tuesday morning. We get into Tuesday afternoon, but it does look like a dry day as that high pressure system will be capping the atmosphere, and so no precip here over across New England, maybe a couple sprinkles toward parts of New York. Now, and taking it a little bit further down the road here, we can start to see this formation of a cold front. Some colder air is trying to make it in here, but this will line up and start to become our nemesis here as we get into Wednesday, where we're looking at some scattered showers and thunderstorm activity. So far, no wind shear, but with this frontal boundary, you can see it's pretty evident. You're looking at a situation where we could develop some stronger wind shear. Right now, it's only about 20-25 knots, not a big deal. And so there'll be slow-moving showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be locally heavy right along the northern tier and then back into the St. Lawrence River Valley. This is valid, by the way, Thursday afternoon. And then as we get into late Thursday, you can see this frontal boundary and see how cold it is up just to the north of the Great Lakes. That colder air is going to slide by to the south of us. So this is after the period now. We're looking at Friday and then next weekend to start Friday evening, and then we get into Saturday. And you can see some weather systems kind of riding the baroclinic zone with colder air to the north, warmer air to the south, probably setting up some kind of a quasi-stationary frontal band that will be kind of going back and forth over time. And here's one example of that. This is valid next Sunday, the 31st of May. This is some mighty cold air that's going to be dropping in and then ending any kind of precipitation once it gets in here, roughly about the 1st of June. Oddly, it's going to be cold for the first 3 days of June. Not as bad as what we've seen, of course, in May, but still significantly colder than what we're seeing here in another few days. 06Z GFS Canadian Ensemble, centered on Montpelier, Vermont. You can see just a little touch here of some precipitation. This is what's going to be moving in on Monday, Memorial Day. We have real nice dry weather up until then. And then good weather on Tuesday, although Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, the GFS Ensemble wants to bring that in just a little faster than the European, so we could be encroached on. We'll have to wait and see. But then we get into this kind of period here. So we're looking at 3-hourly QPF, nothing of any great shakes to worry about there. But let's take a look at capes, and you kind of identifies when we could see some thunderstorm activity. Now, this is fairly significant. Again, centered on Montpelier, Vermont. We're talking 2,000 capes. So a lot of instability. We have the conditions. And it looks like we started on, this would be, what, Tuesday and into Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And then by Friday, we're reducing that a little bit. So looking at the total amount of QPF, we start to see a little bit of an uptick eventually. And the GFS Ensemble wind shear, we do get up to 30 knots, but there's nothing to worry about. And it's very, very light. And so the shower and thunderstorm activity in this period here will more than likely be relatively slow moving, and precipitable water, we're looking at 1.4. That's pretty significant. So we're looking at a situation where I think we're going to get into a little bit more of a heavy rainfall scenario, but it's not being indicated by all the models. It could be just very isolated along the northern tier regions. And here we're looking at the 7-day total accumulated precipitation. And about 1/4 of an inch here. We're talking about a 1/2 inch along the northern tier regions for this particular period. And you can see the main areas affected, looks like off the Gulf coastal regions. But we're going to have our issues eventually, and it's going to take a little while to get there. Quick look at the 2-meter temperatures, forecast projections. This is woefully, I think, a little bit too low. We're coming out of today's high. This is tonight's low, and that's during the day tomorrow. Sunday, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so forth. You can see the 2 days, this being Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which lines up very, very well with the European model. And then looking at 2-meter dew point temperatures, we're above 60, and then that 60, 65 degree mode. So we're going to have ample moisture through this period without a doubt. Running about 6 to 9 degrees above normal, with the strongest area of heating taking place to the north and west of us. And then about 3 days later, the total weighted, we're looking at 9 to 12. And of course that encompasses, again, Tuesday and Wednesday, which is looking at a pretty good warm spell, no doubt about that. That's how it looks like worldwide right now. Colder air has dropped a little bit into the western part and northern parts of North America, a little bit across Quebec. That's the stuff I was showing you where Labrador is actually seeing some snow. And then Central Europe, and then we have this big anomaly, heat anomaly, which has been arcing over the pole and kind of coming back at us across into Alaska, kind of this direction here. So this is fairly significant. You can see just how significant that is. Tropical cyclone activity not expected over the next couple of days, nor the next 5 days, so we're quiet as we speak. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, thanks for watching.